For your viewing pleasure, this broadcast of the Municipal Council meeting of Alpena is made possible by the funding provided by the City of Alpena. Thank you for your generosity.
Good evening. Welcome to the Alpena City Council meeting of April 15th, 2019. Call the order, please.
Hess. Here. Johnson. Here. Nielsen. Here. Nowak.
Here.
And Walagora.
Here.
I jumped the pledge.
Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Modifications to the agenda this evening. I would like to add a brief discussion about the city manager search consultant RFP under new business D.
I move we add that.
Second.
Hess.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Nielsen.
Yes.
Nowak.
Yes.
And Walagora.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Any other modifications this evening? Approval of the minutes for regular session of April 1st, 2019. Any issues or changes? Citizens appearing before council on agenda and non-agenda items are allowed 5 minutes each to address your concerns. If you'd like to do so, please come to the podium and state your name and address for our records. This is the only time this evening you're allowed to address council.
Good evening, Mike Kalashowski, 7066 Lacombe Road, Alpena, or system going official. Just an update with the cleanup in the basement area. As everybody knows, test results came back with some surface wipes that there's still some residual down there that needs to be cleaned up. So the team is coming back. They're supposed to be here Wednesday to do a cleanup. It's going to require removal of some more of the substrate. There's various floors in the basement, from just a concrete floor where the carpet was glued onto to tile flooring where the carpet was glued onto to sheet good vinyl flooring. So that substrate has to come up in the area that where the spill was, and then a cleaning chemical put on it, a stronger cleaning chemical to further clean it. The thought process is, from what I understand from the experts, is mercury is very unknown. I mean, it made it through the carpet, and they figured that it's into the glue that was holding the carpet down. If there's a plus side to it, the carpet that was sent into the lab, the carpet samples that were sent in, do not have to go to a class 2 landfill, which saved a significant amount of money on the first round of billing. I don't have a number yet. I know from the abatement contractor what his number is. I don't have a number yet from the air quality monitoring. So they'll be coming back up Wednesday, hopefully wrapping up on late Thursday with taking some more white samples, and hopefully it's you know, on the right road here. I do have prices from the carpet installers, so I've already got that. I've been talking with Greg on what those prices are and what direction we're going. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Anyone else tonight? On the consent agenda is bills to be allowed in the amount of $307,625.63. B is the approval of summer movies by the Bay and a noise variance from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. on May 31st, June 28th, July 26th, and August 23rd, 2019, with alternate dates in case of inclement weather for June 14th, July 5th, August 2nd, and August 30th, 2019. C is the renewal of auditing services by Straley, Lamp, and Kraenzlein PC. D is an error in the number sequence of Ordinance 19-441, Prohibition of Recreational Marijuana Businesses and Establishments in the City. It's just a number. And E is the 2018 tax rolls spread, collected, and delinquent.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Johnson?
Yes.
Nielsen?
Yes.
Noah?
Yes.
Walagora?
Aye.
And Hess.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. No presentations or announcements, so we're down to proclamations. I have two this evening. The first is Child Abuse Prevention Month for April 2019. Whereas the City of Alpena applauds the Exchange Club of Alpena for its dedicated work in the prevention of child abuse in our community, and whereas the City of Alpena commends the Exchange Club of Alpena for its tireless promotion of ongoing programs in our community which are designed to help prevent child abuse, and whereas the City of Alpena stands firmly on the side of prevention of any type of abuse and believes no child should endure verbal, emotional, or physical abuse of any kind or for any reason, and whereas the National Exchange Club adopted the prevention of child abuse as its national project in 1979 in response to a request by its national president, who, as a physician, noticed an increase in abuse cases in his medical practice. Since then, April has been designated as Child Abuse Prevention Month, and the City of Alpena supports and encourages all of our residents and community leaders to wear blue each Monday in April in observance of Child Abuse Prevention Month. Now, therefore, I, Matthew J. Walagora, by the virtue of authority vested in me as the mayor of the City of Alpena, do hereby proclaim the month of April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Alpena in recognition of our commitment to healthy, happy children and to help eradicate child abuse in our community and to support the efforts of the Exchange Club of Alpena and all others who observe this important cause in their mission to bring awareness of this tragic problem to the forefront and to help make our community a stronger and more loving city where children will be able to grow and thrive without fear of harm. And this evening from the Exchange Club, we've got Stacy Croninger, Tony Sushik, and Rachel Phillips. Blue on Monday. I'm sorry.
Bill, you want to slide over here?
How many can I take?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, our next one is National Cleaning for a Reason Week. Whereas Cleaning for a Reason is a nonprofit that provides free professional house cleaning to women undergoing treatment for any type of cancer, Cleaning for a Reason matches cancer patients with cleaning companies who are willing to donate their time and services. And whereas cancer is very real and affects so many, so a simple house cleaning can be of assistance to cancer patients and allow these women to focus on their health while nonprofit focuses on patients' homes during this time of need. For the patients and their family, this service is invaluable. And whereas Cleaning for a Reason has more than 1,200 volunteer cleaning companies and continues to grow every year as more companies participate. Together they improve the lives of women stricken with cancer. There are millions of women battling cancer who do not have the resources to hire an outside service to clean during this difficult time. And whereas Cleaning for a Reason must continue to help women battling cancer and give back to the communities by making a difference in the lives of these women. A donation of any size is always greatly appreciated by Cleaning for a Reason in order to make this mission possible. Now, therefore, I, Matthew J. Walagora, by the virtue of authority vested in me as the mayor of the City of Alpena, do hereby proclaim April 18th to the 24th, 2019 as National Cleaning for a Reason Week in the City of Alpena, and encourage all citizens to recognize the contributions of Cleaning for a Reason and express appreciation for their commitment to free house cleanings for women undergoing cancer treatment in the hope of achieving optimal health and easing the stress of not only cancer patients, but also their families that often become the main caregiver. For more information on cleaning, or donating, or if you're in need of services, please visit cleaningforareason.org. And we have Tara Stone from My Girl Friday. Tara's one of the volunteer cleaning organizations. Well, and her son. Next up is report of officers, the Finance Director's quarterly financial report, January 1st through March 31st of 2019.
Okay. With the completion of the third quarter of the current fiscal year, the city should be at 75% of budget. In comparison to the budget, we have received slightly over 75% of revenue. Revenue for general government is at 89% due to receiving over 96% of budget for property taxes. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's like within the general government department. The property tax is just one line within there. Information technology revenue is down due to external fiber rent that typically isn't received until April. Also, the miscellaneous revenue is down for IT due to the lack of sales of cell phones and laptops to employees. Also, police revenue is slightly under budget because of a highway safety program grant that we no longer expect to receive this year, but had budgeted for it. Revenue from district court is also running lower than we had anticipated. Fire revenue is currently at 69% of budget, but once the current budget is amended, that number will increase to 88%. This is because we had budgeted to receive $50,000 for a county grant, but we now know that we are only going to receive $25,000. Ambulance revenue is under budget at this point, but I continue to be reassured by Chief Forbush and Deputy Adrian that we will hit our projected revenue. Also, we didn't receive payment from the county for the ambulance agreement until April because of the timing of the renewal of the agreement. So it was payment for January, February, and March, but we didn't receive it until April. If we add in that payment, the ambulance department would actually be over 58% for revenue. Revenue for the Department of Public Works is currently at 67%, which is under budget due to not receiving fireworks donations yet. The negative 73% of revenue for the Lights Department is due to the reversing entry as explained during the last quarter financial report. I actually do have a small claim filed against that gentleman that owes for the light pole that was knocked over. So if we get payment, it'll just bring it up to zero. So it won't be negative anymore. The Parks and Rec Department's revenue is low at just under 34%, due in part to budgeting for a receipt of a CZM grant. That will be amended in May, but if we were to take it out now, that would put revenue over budget for Parks and Rec. Across the general fund, expenditures are at 71%. Building authority is high at 100%, but as stated before, that's due to the one-time payment made earlier in the fiscal year. Fire department expenses are slightly high at just under 80% due to the annual equipment rental fees hitting the books and the city's payment into the pension fund. The ambulance department is also high in expenses at just over 79%. This is also due to the payment into the pension fund. Expenses for the lights department are low due to not yet expending any of the budgeted capital outlay money. Other financing uses, these are the transfers that happen between departments, are also below budget due to transfers to other funds that haven't happened yet. In regards to cash balances and investments, I don't see any concerns there. The balance in the employees' retirement fund is higher by $2.26 million as compared to a year ago. The change in investment advisors appears to have been the right decision as the total assets in the retirement fund continues an upward climb. Again, the city's finances are doing well. We are right on target for revenue and under budget for expenses as of March 31st, 2019. Once the budget for the ensuing fiscal year is approved in May, there will be amendments made to the current fiscal year budget as well. Although the current status of the budget shows expenditures exceeding revenue by $369,449 for this fiscal year, we are projecting to be above break even. But I just added in a couple more expenses for this fiscal year, so it will be just below break even. Yeah, but then I kind of stated the same thing last year at this time. Last year I had said we were going to be $4,000 to the good, and then we ended up being 200-some thousand negative after the audit, and that's because there's things in there like depreciation that get expensed that we don't budget for.
Just a couple of things, Anna. Usually I ask you this question at the same time. Is there anything that, has got you majorly concerned? And did the Did the chief and assistant chief pinky swear that they're going to make up the revenue within that, so,
Yes, they did.
okay?
That does concern me because we're not even, I don't think we're halfway yet, if I remember correctly. But Bob Adrian keeps a pretty close eye on the numbers, and he has a contact with the ambulance biller that says we should hit our number. So we do actually, we still post back when it's sort of a couple months into the new fiscal year, we're able to post back. So that's why this year it looks like it's down because of that reversing entry that in previous years it was always done at the end of the fiscal year, but really it's supposed to be done right away in the next fiscal year. So in July, it should be done right away, move that out of there. So that's why last year it looked higher at this point than it does right now.
And then either for yourself or for Greg, the county grant, the $25,000, that is,
I believe that was with the millage, the county ambulance millage, because of where funds are, they've cut off all payments, first responder payments to all the townships plus the city. We were budgeted for 48 or 50,000, and so we're losing half of that. And all the others are losing from basically January 1st forward. And in the next couple of years, to at least the millage vote, there will be no first responder payments at all to anybody.
thank you. And just one last comment. You know, it's often that I go through this and have a lot of different questions that usually I bring in, and I just wanted to say, Anna, your memo was spot on, and it was really, really good this time. I think you answered everything and explained everything perfectly, so thank you for that.
I'm a mind reader.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
All right, any other questions? If not, receiving file would be appropriate.
I move we receive and file.
Second.
Nielsen?
Yes.
Noah?
Yes.
Walagora?
All right.
Hess?
Yes.
And Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next up is the Here and Undercovers Narcotics Team or Hunt Informational Report and Budget Request, but I don't see a representative from there. Joe, would you like to speak on behalf of the board?
Good evening. I was really prepared to speak on this, but seeing that Lieutenant Sharp was unable to make it, I'm sure for a very good reason. I'm on the Hunt Board Advisory Board, and currently right now we have some other members that are contributing to the fund, and as a result of that, we're projecting probably our contribution about $8,000 a year, which is down from 12.5. So, which is good news, and I see that being stable hopefully for the next couple of years. I mean, you never know. The team relies heavily on grant funding, and as we all know with grants, you never know what they're going to be or if you're going to get them, period. And so, we've been holding steady. Lieutenant Sharp has had very good success with writing some grant applications in the past, and we're hopeful that will continue. But right now, we have budgeted $8,000 for the city for our contribution for this coming year. So that would be it. If anybody has any questions, they are very, very busy. We believe it is well spent money. Investigations, just to clarify, also, because I know there could be some concern about this, they are combating things of far more serious nature. Heroin is probably the one scourge that we're seeing right now, along with methamphetamine. And also, those are very complex investigations. And furthermore, the team, they often do not kind of showcase this, but it's just not narcotics that they assist us with. If we have surveillance that we need to do, that obviously uniformed officers, we just don't have that, that ability because we're in uniform. They're always willing to step up and help out with those type of things. Search warrants, in many ways, they are very much independent of what we do. So and we try to be there for them also. So we work very closely with the team on a regular basis. So I'm a big believer. Any questions?
It's a $8,000 contribution plus 1 officer.
+1 officer, yes, sir, thank you for clarifying that. +1 officer, which has been historically, we've been on team since its beginning in 1990.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, Chief. Just a quick comment. Obviously, I'm on the board advisory board for Hunt as well, and always been a big supporter of the Hunt team. Just the training capacity that we get along for the city, for Joel's department, that come back to his crew after they're done with their Hunt tour is $8,000. It's way more than $8,000 worth of training. So I always appreciate that part as well. And obviously, they're up on his last brief, and of course, everyone got the hard copy of the Hunt, that the fentanyl and some of the pharmaceuticals they're coming and moving in our area as well.
Unfortunately true, but it's what everybody across the nation is dealing with. And that's an excellent point, sir, is that probably, just a rough figure, a third of the department are probably former Hunt officers, including myself. And so, you know, the experience you get out there in a number of ways, writing search warrants and conducting raids and so forth, and they bring that knowledge back to the PD. So, like I said, I'm a big supporter of the unit. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'll let Detective Sharp know that you did a fantastic job on his behalf. Yes, please.
Second.
Noack?
Yes.
Walagora?
Aye.
Hess?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
And Nielsen?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next up, unfinished business, the medical marijuana facilities recommendations from the Planning Commission. Item Paul.
Good evening. At the request of City Council, the Planning Commission has taken a closer look at the potential for medical marijuana facilities and specifically the land use implications associated with these facilities. Over the course of several meetings, the Planning Commission formed a recommendation for medical marijuana facilities if they are allowed in the future within the city of Alpena. Again, I'll just summarize the next point. They are only looking at medical marijuana facilities, not recreational at this point, because we have opted out. And there's not enough information to make intelligent decisions on recreational yet. Planning Commission also noted that these recommendations are for commercial medical marijuana facilities only and have no bearing on a citizen's personal use of marijuana or their ability to grow marijuana for personal use in their home. So the first thing they looked at was the number of facilities. Basically, the medical law allows us to set a cap on the number of commercial facilities within the city. Ultimately speaking, they looked at data from a number of sources, and I'll kind of summarize this, and they ended up, their recommendation was 2 facilities of each type if it is allowed. And that's for recommendations regarding from weed maps and also just for competitive reasons. As far as types of facilities, the Planning Commission looked at each of the 5, and they went through them. There were some, they did feel that facilities in any zoning district that are allowed should be only allowed by special use permit, which would allow for supplemental regulations. We do that for many different uses, including churches, daycares, things like that. They did note that many other communities had chosen to create buffer zones around protected uses that would not allow any type of medical marijuana facility within these zones around these protected uses. In this case, the Planning Commission chose to uphold a 1,000-foot buffer around any existing school. And after discussion, that was why that distance was so common. It was the federal drug-free school zone standard is 1,000 feet. And it's still Schedule 1 narcotic under federal law. So for the businesses themselves, that seemed to be a reasonable distance. They also noted that a smaller buffer zone of 250 feet should be upheld around other protected uses, such as existing parks, addiction centers, daycares, and places of worship. Interesting side note, the Planning Commission did discuss that breweries with on-premise consumption of beer are required to be at least 500 feet away from places of worship unless permission is obtained by that church or place of worship. So finally, the Planning Commission noted that provisioning centers should be at least 500 feet away from other provisioning centers, and that's just to keep them slightly separated, they're not all one group. So just summarize the different type of facilities. Grow facilities, secure transport facilities, and processing facilities. The Planning Commission felt they would be good in the best In the industrial districts, I-1 and I-2, there'd be the gray areas on the map. As far as testing facilities, Planning Commission felt that they would not stand out and were essentially in a laboratory environment, so they felt they could be in commercial districts as well as business districts as well. So they said OS1, B2, B3, commercial corridor district, and the industrial districts. And the only one business district was not included was I1, and that's because that's local business. Generally mom and pop shops, things like that. Provisioning centers got obviously the majority of the conversation. Planning Commission noted that provisioning centers are essentially a pharmacy and should adhere to the districts that would allow a similar use, with the exception of the central business district. Planning Commission recommended these facilities be allowed in office districts, most business districts, and commercial corridor district, as well as industrial districts, in case someone wants to co-locate to a growth facility as well. So that's OS1, B2, B3, commercial corridor, and the industrial districts. Central business district is not included, as Planning Commission did not feel a recommendation would be appropriate without action from the DDA. Pharmacies are allowed in the central business district, and the DDA has had discussions regarding the topic of medical marijuana, but had not taken any action to date. Finally, the Planning Commission did discuss appropriate forms of odor control. They felt it is necessary to require some type of control. They discussed various methods used by other Michigan communities, as well as somewhat lengthy odor control plans required by other states. Many units of government have taken the approach of stating the smell must not be detectable from outside the facility, and they leave it at that in the zoning ordinance. Other communities have referenced a standalone ordinance regarding odor outside of the zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission thought it best to check with the municipal attorney for the best and most legally effective method of odor control. That being the reason for that is odor is not necessarily easily measurable, and we would want to have the most legally effective language and not have something that's just odious for everybody. Planning Commission discussed these potential zoning regulations at length and feel the provisions would allow a functional framework for medical marijuana facilities while causing the least amount of impact to the character of the neighborhoods in the city. Planning Commission is aware these are just recommendations and that at this time, Council has not opted in to allow medical marijuana facilities. If this does change in the future, the Planning Commission would note that these or similar zoning ordinance changes should be adopted prior to the official opt-in date. And then regarding the maps, I know it doesn't make the most sense, and I apologize for not getting them in your packet. That being said, protected uses include churches, parks, addiction facilities, and it does not include daycares, although that would have to be in, but most daycares are in residential districts anyway. Anything in green is just a residential district, and then the blue is the 1,000-foot around the school zones. I believe this is fairly accurate as far as churches, but there is a good chance I may have missed one or two, or potentially more. So certainly that is can be adjusted at any time. But I would love to answer any questions. Industrial districts are gray, so that if for those other three different types of facilities, they would be in the gray. And then OS1 is the purple, and then the business districts are in red. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, or.
Thank you, Adam. Yeah, it's a good report. It was pretty much exactly what I was hoping that the PC would do, so appreciate that. I'll leave it up to council as you want to do any kind of action on this, or if we want to table it for now and kind of soak up what the report says.
I have a question for
Sure.
With the recommendation based on, I think, talk other communities and based on population, the number of facilities and stuff, that's something that if everyone decided to move forward and we started with 2, that would change in the future?
Yeah, that's something that the council would set the number, and it's certainly something you can change upper or lower, but just bear in mind if you did decide that 2 was too much and you already have 2 operating, they're going to continue to operate. So just bear that one in mind. It's easier to adjust up than down. But it is certainly in the law.
Very good. Any other questions for Adam while he's here?
It's pretty thorough.
Very good. I'm actually fine with whatever. I would like to, we just got this over the weekend. I'd like to kind of take a look. We got the map today. And I was really interested in what areas of the city that would affect and where they're suggesting the locations would be. So I have no issue with filing the report and bringing it back up once we've all had an opportunity to soak in what the planning commission has given us. That would be fine with me.
I would like to revisit it sooner than later, though.
Sooner than later.
Maybe in the next agenda, even that we discuss it further.
Yeah, I certainly don't, I'm in favor of that as well, because we've said quite a few times for several years that we were waiting on the laws to get straightened out, which they now have been, waiting on the planning commission to come. I'd like to give the planning commission did mention the DDA, and I'm on a committee with them, and I've asked them, and they did canvass the owners and operators in the DDA, but they didn't really take an action on it, so to speak. And so this will give us a little bit of time to get a perspective from them, and then we'll move forward. I certainly don't want to wait, just tuck it away and forget that it happened. So.
Their next meeting is after our first meeting in May, which is going to be a busy meeting anyways, because that's budget presentation.
So perhaps we can expect to bring it back in a second meeting in May.
And when, May?
That's all right.
Say May.
Give me a question.
So that's not too far off. But something that's going to take a little while to get going.
So we can move to table this until second meeting May, take action, or would you rather just have a file?
I guess just one point of clarification to make sure everybody is, if you're going to take action, at some point, the first action is, do you want to move forward? Do we want to have medical marijuana facilities in the city? If the answer is no, well, then that ends it. Everything's done. If the answer is yes, by a vote of council, then it is to direct staff to prepare, which is basically Adam, working with the planning commission and Bill, and then on the code of ordinances, because there'll be changes there as well, will be Adam and probably Bill, and to prepare those and go through the process that we have to adopt those. That's what we would have to do first. It's not to opt in. Opting in is the last thing that we would do if that's the intent of council to move forward, because you want to have everything in place. The ordinances, the rules, regulations, everything, and the zoning criteria, everything is set. And the DEQ has strongly said you should have an odor control ordinance in place before you allow it as well, because communities have had issue, and they push that heavily in a webinar. I don't know if you listened to that one. That was a big thing they really pushed, was the odor control. Mainly their examples were from Colorado and Nevada, if I remember right. So, that's kind of the order where we would need to go on this.
I would like to, I guess, according to the DDA, I would like to know where their thoughts are on allowing it or not, or not. Or like their recommendation based on.
I can talk with Ann and ask to have that on their May 7th or whatever it is agenda.
I know they
First
surveyed,
Tuesday of the month.
all pretty much all the business owners and building owners, and like to hear more of that in a little more detail from them and also their thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to be included if we move forward, and I hate to say no, we can't allow it.
And they may or may not even take a stand. The DDA board itself may not even take a stand on it. I would venture to say that there is no other type of store that they do take a stand on. Anything from whatever, jewelry to books to shoes. So they may not want to, and if that's the case, then that's fine, but we should at least, if you could just ask her if they want to.
I will put it on the agenda.
And that way, I think if we know that, then, and then pretty much know by the second week of May, what your stance is gonna be on whether we follow Greg's recommendation of directing staff to start taking actions with proposals on zoning and things of that nature. So let's be ready second week of May.
Can I ask a
That's
question?
okay.
On the,
Second meeting in May?
on the.
Yeah, I think we, just, that, we adopted budget, but usually the public hearing is very quick on that, usually, historically. And then you vote on, 2 or 3 resolutions. So there should be no problem with being able to do that the second meeting. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Am I misinformed? Doesn't the DDA have to vote on this in order for it to be allowed in the district?
No, ultimately, we control the zoning, which is what it would be, is to allow it. As they found, and did some research, as most cities around here where they voted, they didn't even ask their DDA when they made decisions of yes or no on what they were doing.
Okay.
So the one that did provide input was Traverse City, and they said, no, we don't want it in the DDA, in the downtown. And so that's when they approved, I think it's medical, I think they opted out of the recreational, is it can be in other areas of the city, but not downtown, at least initially. That could always change, but that was the original.
So the DDA does have that power to say we don't want it down?
No, they could recommend. And
And the DDA sent the city of Traverse City,
Okay.
we would recommend you don't.
Okay.
Right, and they went along with that.
But
They didn't
it's-
veto.
Yeah, but they don't have a
Okay.
voting voice, so to speak.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, ultimately, that will be your call.
All right, so do we want to file this? Or do we want to table until the second meeting?
Let's do that, and then it's a little bit more official, and we know that that's going to happen.
Come on,
We table this until the second meeting in May.
second.
Second
Olga?
meeting in May?
Yes.
For the second.
That'd be the 20th, I believe.
Anything? Aye?
Hess?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Nielsen?
Yes.
And Noak?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
New business, local, A is local agency pavement warranty program.
As part of the transportation funding package of 2015, the Michigan legislature created a requirement that each local road agency in Michigan adopt a local pavement warranty program acceptable to the Michigan Department of Transportation. You probably heard about a month ago, the County Road Commission adopted these very same resolutions. So every road agency in the state has to adopt these to comply with the legislature. Every community must consider a warranty program on each project utilizing any state or federal funding that also includes $2 million or more in paving-related components. Realistically, for northern Michigan, probably not going to see any of those. We have some $2 million projects, but they're not all road-related expenses. Overall, the goal of the Michigan Local Pavement Warranty Program is to have one standardized method for applying pavement warranties on local agency projects, which provides a consistent, quantifiable, and transparent program that pavement contractors can recognize and implement. To adopt the pavement warranty program, each community should adopt 2 separate resolutions. First resolution is to adopt a local pavement warranty program, and that's needed for the community to adopt it. And then the second would be a resolution to implement a local pavement warranty program that defines the agency's intent to apply the warranty program consistent with the local agency pavement warranty guidelines and report annually on each project that includes $2 million or more in paving-related components and includes any state and federal funds. So this is basically one of those, we have to do it, but it's never going to probably apply to us.
I have a couple of quick questions for you. When we say that they don't apply, but we resolve that we're going to adopt them and implement them for $2 million plus federal money projects, if I said that right. Do we also have the ability, since we have all of that stuff in place, to use those warranty programs for lesser
We
jobs?
can if we so
Or-
desire.
Or any jobs?
Yeah, we can if we so desire. Typically, if you're willing to pay for it.
Okay.
Because
It comes at a cost.
It does add significantly to the cost of the paving, because the contractors, and this is something that we've seen downstate. You see a pretty significant increase in the cost per ton of asphalt because, to cover that warranty program.
Okay.
But yes, you're right, we could, on any of our project, if we so desire.
Okay. I guess I had a couple, but that was the only one. I wrapped it into one.
You answered my question, are we ever realistically going to use this
Yeah.
based on the criteria? There's no other questions?
And the resolutions are pretty much just what Rich said, but with a lot of whereases in there. So I would expect that with approval, we would first start with Resolution 2019-6.
I move we approve Resolution 2019-06.
Hess,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
and Walagora.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And then, thank you. And the second one would be Resolution number 2019-07.
I move, oh, go ahead.
I move we approve Resolution 2019-07.
Is that Susan?
Susan.
Okay. Johnson,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Walagora,
Aye.
and Hess.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, and next up is the City Tree Program Renewal Recommendation.
Back in 2016, the city received no bids for our tree planting program. And at that time, there were 3 bids received, as indicated, with Pratscape LLC being the low bidder at that time. They were at $250, the second bidder was at $400 per tree. The city of Alpena does have the right within that contract to extend it for 5 additional one-year periods if both parties can mutually agree upon prices. You know, and while in the current year, I say the current year, after July 1, we don't have money budgeted for trees, we do still like to have this contract in place, because if there's an accident, somebody knocks over a tree, we have them in place to go out and replace it. So, the city would like to have Pratscape available for those projects. Therefore, the city would like to extend the contract to June 30th, and that should be 2020, not 2021. Tried to sneak an extra year in there, but got caught again. No, we had a typo in the contracts that are available for sign reflect that 2020, not the 2021.
Okay.
In no case shall the contract be extended beyond December 31st, 2023. If both parties cannot agree on prices for the contract extension, the existing contract will be allowed to expire. Pratscape LLC's prices remain consistent with $250 per tree planted for the length of the contract from 2016 to 2018. Pratscape's previous tree supplier has since gone out of business, necessitating them to obtain trees from a different vendor where the previous prices could not be matched. This has resulted in a $50 increase per tree planted to offset the increase that they must now pay for from the new vendor. It is my recommendation as city engineer to allow the contract with Pratscape LLC to renew with the proposed renewal prices that were submitted at $300 per tree planted.
No questions?
I have no questions.
Thank you, Rich.
I move we allow the contract for renewal with Pratscape for the renewal prices as stated at $300 per tree.
Second?
Nielsen,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Walagora,
Aye.
Hess,
Yes.
and Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And then next up is the 2019-2020 water and sewer rates.
This has typically been presented when the draft budget is presented to council, but we've completed the draft budget portion. Clerk's office is still working on the narratives and assembling it to get it distributed to council. But we have it completed to the point where we have those draft, the draft budget expenses identified such that we could go ahead and develop the rate structure for next fiscal year. This is the same methodology we've used for the last 3 or 4 years as far as putting together our costs for the various elements of plants, collection, distribution, etc., and our debt, and then working them back to a cost per 1,000-gallon units. To meet the needs and expenses of the utilities, staff is proposing a 2.96% increase in the rates. The ready-to-serve charge will remain at the same level as last fiscal year. The billing charge was increased by 2.25% to match the contractual increase to SUEZ. The operation and maintenance and debt service charges per 1,000 gallons were modified per the previously established methodology. With increased volumes billed, the cost per 1,000 gallons has decreased, but has been offset by additional infrastructure maintenance funding. And then I have an attached spreadsheet which I'll show. We are proposing a 2.9% increase in the overall water and sewer rates for the 2018-19 to 2019-20. The rates proposed with all customers paying the same rate should generate $3,493,371 for infrastructure maintenance projects. The above available funding is based on all customers paying the same rate, including Alpena Township. The township, as a customer, has been paying the same water and sewer rates since 2011. As no short-term conclusion is in sight, unless Bill has some words of wisdom that I haven't heard.
Well, I always have words of wisdom, but not on this one.
The township will likely be paying the same reduced rate into the near future. Based on this reduced rate, the estimated funding level, $3,493,370, will not be attained in 2019-20. The reduced rates that Alpena Township is currently paying should result in $2,276,518 for infrastructure maintenance projects. Our current CIP identifies $1.471 million in needs at the sewer utility and $1.844 in needs at the water utility, totaling $3.315 million. The average yearly need, this is based on our 6-year capital improvement program, is $3.671 million for the sewer fund and over $5 million in needs for the water fund. This totals $8,761,316. Neither of these funding levels are being met with the current revenue available. This disparity between the needs and the available funding was known and anticipated, and thus the slow yet steady increase is utilized towards achieving that needed funding. Back when we even first presented it, when Gosling Zubek was here and they presented their first scenario, council sent it back to staff and we went through a number of gyrations. We knew at that point in time that we were not going to be able to achieve that level of funding in the short term, and it was going to be a long process to work towards achieving that. I think, again, going back and looking at it, if all the customers were paying the same rate, we'd be pretty darn close. We're getting there. We're approaching that number, but we're not seeing those same rates. The chart that I've got here, and I'll just go, I've got the other spreadsheets and that I use in generating the rates, but what we do is we look at last year's, so from June 30th of 17, excuse me, July 1 of 17 through June 30th of 18, we look at the total water sales and sewer sales. This number we use, and that's the way we've done it ever since the beginning. We look at last year's sales is our volume. Then we look at what I do is I look at, this is what our 17-18 expenses were. This is what we're projecting for 18-19, 19-20, 20-21, and then we use, don't mind that, forgot to change that heading. We look at an average of those years, and then divide our average cost by the volume to come up with the cost per thousand. Oh, I know that. Another sheet. Sorry about that. So anyway, this is basically a summary table from 18-19. Our costs at the water treatment plant, WTP, water treatment plant resulted in a cost of $2.42 per thousand just to operate and maintain the wastewater, or the, excuse me, the water treatment plant. There's no capital included in those numbers. For 19-20, our volumes increased, our expenses were down a little bit, dropped it to 186, about a 56-cent decrease. In our distribution, our expenses resulted in 99 cents. Our costs for the distribution were down a little bit, but our volumes increased. We saw a $1.10 increase, or 11 cent increase. Commercial, a 2 cent increase. We'll skip over the infrastructure maintenance and our debt. As we paid off a bond issue last year, that's why we see that drop from 65 cents to 54 cents on our debt portion. So what we looked at, not including the infrastructure maintenance charge, is where we were at. And then we looked at what our needs were and what type of an increase we needed to work towards those needs. We bumped this up from $1.42 to $2.07, and increased it by 1.82%. On our sewer, again, that average number, or the volume from last year, then we looked at our averages at the WRP, the water recycling plant. Those dropped from 302 to 274. Our collection went up a penny, a little more expensive, but we had a little more volume to disperse it over. Our debt, again, we paid off a bond issue. That dropped at 13 cents. And again, we've looked at that infrastructure maintenance increase. That represents about a 4.09% increase in the sewer utilities. Overall, last year, our customers were paying $12.15 per thousand. This year, the 2.96% increase, we're looking at $12.51 per thousand, 36-cent increase per thousand gallons of usage, 2.96%. Average customers bill 10,000 gallons per quarter, be about $3.60 more per thousand. the other factors, the ready to serve charge remains constant. The billing charge, like I said, will go up that 2.25%, which is pretty minimal, if I remember right. It was about 10 cents per billing. It'll go up. So these are the numbers that we're looking at for presenting to council and for approval as part of the budget process. And if there's, and I know you're just seeing this for the first time, and if there's questions.
We're not expecting that you're gonna vote on it tonight.
Yeah.
This will be part of the budget, so, you have time, but we wanted to get it to you ahead of time.
No, I appreciate that. You had a question?
Yeah, can you give us an idea of construction projects that you're doing? And I know when we do a capital improvement plan, we're spreading those out 6 years in advance. And over the last year, you presented us with several different scenarios of projects that have gone up. Do you have an average of what you're seeing on your road construction projects right now, or a project that would replace water and sewer?
It varies. This year, what we've seen is our asphalt prices have taken a pretty dramatic increase per ton. It's like anything else, with fuel going up, they have to pass those increases along. Steel has been all over the board as far as your pipe, any of the supplies, they all have increasing labor costs. Right now, I've got a contractor out there. We're courting him to see if he will bid on another project, and he said he has 0 employees. He cannot find an employee out there. He has nobody, and so it's a smaller project we're looking at. He's a smaller contractor, but we asked him if he'd be interested. And he says, I don't have any employees to do the work. And you're seeing that with a number of the contractors. One of my contractors right now has an employee he has to pick up, bring to work, and take back home because he doesn't have a driver's license, but he's a good employee and one he's trying to hang on to. They're paying $18 starting for some of the laborers out there. Equipment operators are significantly more than that. It's like anything else. It's tough to find the employees. So you're seeing that. For them to retain those employees, they're having to pay more, which consequently we're paying more. Project just got, it's not just us. Project just got let out a bridge project in the county. I think they were estimated at $932,000. I think it came in at 1.22. So it's not just the city of Alpena. We're seeing it all over northern Michigan. So those costs go up. We try to account for that. The 6-year CIP is an estimate based on current dollars. Then as we get into the budget, a lot of times we have to ratchet those dollars up, those project costs up, to reflect that we put this in 4 years ago.
Excellent. I appreciate you bringing that to us early so we can take a look at that and digest it prior to budget approval. So, and that'll be 2 meetings.
And if you have any questions, we can certainly discuss those at the next meeting, because that's what that's for, the presentation and questions. So.
Awesome.
You got any action on that?
Just probably receive and file at this point.
Okay, I will be receiving.
Kawak?
Yes.
Walagora?
Aye.
Hess?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
And Nielsen?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Rich. Last thing on the agenda is our addition of brief discussion about the city manager search consultant. I brought that up. Greg and I were talking about how we would vet those and make a decision on whom or if we would hire one of them. The RFPs are due on the close of business on the 24th. And we threw around some suggestions, and then I thought, well, maybe it would be a good idea if we all just met as a separate workshop, rather than taking up a lot of time at a regular meeting, obviously, and just set up a workshop where we go over all the applicants and either make a decision at that point or bring it back to a regular, or the following regular meeting and make a decision whether that can be determined at that point. Just wanted to pass it through you guys to maybe see if we can all be available sometime during the week of the 29th, which is the following week.
Week of what day did you say?
April 29th, the week of.
If we could
April
set up a
29th.
workshop on the sometime during the week of the 29th, and what we can do is, and again, this isn't a regular meeting, so so it's, if somebody couldn't make it or wasn't interested in being part of the selection process, wouldn't be a mandatory meeting, but I think maybe because I'm just bringing that up now, I don't expect everybody to dig out their calendars, but if that's the consensus that we would like to do that, then perhaps tomorrow morning I can just shoot out an email with some suggested dates, and we can make that date, and then we'll pass on that date to Anna. She can put it in the paper. Call it a workshop. We can call that a workshop, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but it still allows you to actually take action. It's an official meeting, it will be posted, so we'd probably just reference that it's reviewing applicants for this and then possible action.
Yeah, we can leave it
Council
open
wants
if we want to approve
No.
whoever it is at that point. We
They want to do
can.
it.
Yeah,
I don't think we can do that.
Probably a worksheet, our workshop.
Okay.
You know, I think a worksheet
I,
workshop.
yeah, I don't remember last time, but maybe either Mike or Susan remember that, or the mayor. I don't think we ever interviewed any of the candidates.
I don't think we interviewed the candidates,
firms.
or the firms
No.
during the selection process.
No.
We later had a visit where whom we selected came and interviewed us, so they had a good idea of what we were looking for.
Right, yeah, kind of.
But just the process of choosing one, I don't think we did. It'd be pretty difficult, time consuming. We should be able to get it all out of their presentation. In the event that we can't, well, then we'll make that decision.
I think most of the firms are ones that applied previously. So there isn't a lot of difference. There may be one, so that's worked in before.
All right.
So, no action taken on that, just need to, do we need to direct staff to set up a workshop and determine a date later?
If the mayor is going to email everybody, you get a consensus on a date, I assume we'll do it at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or 5:30 if you want to do it a little earlier, and you just tell us the dates and we'll get it set. Because I don't see anything where there's any conflicts of meetings or anything at that time, that week.
Yeah, I'll just shoot out some suggestions and we'll deal with it then. I don't think we have to take any action this evening. It sounds like everybody's okay with that.
Being said, I move to adjourn.